Hello, welcome to the Brown Couch.
Episode 2.
Episode 2.
I'm Bob.
It's Corbin.
Thank you for joining us. There's always a spot here on the couch.
Always a spot on the couch.
So how are you doing today, man?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Doing good. I'm a little bit tired.
Yeah?
Was up late last night. Yeah, so I got my coffee. So
There you go. Ready to go.
We'll get through this.
Yeah. So what's been on your mind lately? What's anything coming up for you?
We got a brother who's moving to Galveston, Texas.
Okay.
So been helping him with that. We had them over last night for dinner. Just trying to spend as much time with them as possible before they move.
Absolutely.
So that's one of those bittersweet things where I'm like super
Mhm.
juiced because he got a promotion for a job and
Yeah.
he's got a sweet gig, but man, it's like 28 hours away. I'm like, gosh, I already got another brother who lives in Oregon.
Okay.
And yeah, it's
They're leaving the nest.
Yep. Yeah, my dad's retired, and so he's gonna be traveling back and forth, and I'm just like, man, half the family's gone.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I should move.
There you go.
But yeah,
Couch needs you, man.
I know. I'm like, I gotta see what's going on here. No,
There you go.
It's interesting. It'd be fun to go visit and stuff, but yeah, it's just sad. So that's kind of what's been going on, helping him get stuff ready, and yeah, so.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we don't have too many topics lined up for today. Last time we talked, we were kind of hitting on COVID and the election stuff, and how different people's perception of that. How about we continue that timeline a little bit? So
Okay.
2020 is going on, and we have this election that seems very kind of finicky and weird and pushed through, and what was the word used? Fortified, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, that period of time then after the election was kind of a weird thing. How did you experience that?
I mean, for me, it was really weird because it was like everyone was doing their hardest to be like, oh, guess what? Everything's fine after Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're back to normal.
Back to normal.
Everything's back to normal, which is like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
life isn't normal.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was normal, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, as soon as Biden became president, it was instantly, hey, here's a whole bunch of military orders.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sending a ton of guys to D.C. to
Mm-hmm.
build a wall, which walls aren't effective. We're going to build one.
We're gonna build them.
And we're going to keep everyone out of the capital area.
Yep.
Because we believe in terrorists.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I mean, like, but it was just weird for me because it just, everything ramped up on orders wise. So it was like you're going into all these COVID orders, being in the guard, and then you're going straight into protect the capital, like as if China was invading right
Yeah.
now. And I'm like, and then it was just a bunch of sitting around,
doing nothing.
sweating,
Yeah.
hating life,
Mm-hmm.
wondering why you're here, and then the news is like, everything was so portrayed, so it was so jacked up, but it was my life didn't change at all. It was just kind of like, oh, the craziness continues.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Now, so you're National Guard. Did you actually go out to DC then, or you stayed local here, but you were kind of paying attention to other orders going on?
So I was supposed to go to DC,
Okay.
but I ended up getting on a different set of orders. It's all just kind of like, it's just like, here, you go here, and then you go there, and you know what I mean? They're moving people around, and it's kind of it's always at the needs of the Army.
Okay.
So it's whatever they need, and they just pick people and throw them places. But I've had friends, good friends of mine that went to DC,
Okay.
and they said it was the worst thing they've ever experienced.
Okay.
Because it was just a bunch of standing around in the hot sun doing nothing.
Okay.
So
It's the whole security theater sort of thing.
yeah, but it was also like roaming patrols. Like it was something out of like, I'm not gonna say that. Something out of a movie. Let's put it that way. It was really strange.
Yeah.
And then it showed me pictures and videos and stuff when they got back, and it was just like, why do I feel like, I mean, it's like something out of Nazi Germany.
Okay.
That's what it was out of. Like, you're watching and you're just like,
This is very strange.
This is really weird. And the thing is, it was like no one around.
Sure.
It's like, I don't understand what you're scared of. You're scared of a bunch of, boys from Texas just walking in with guns. You can't even take a gun to DC. So what are we scared about here?
Yeah.
It was just really strange. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the craziness instead of just being super crazy, it just got more senile.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't make any sense. It wasn't supposed to make sense because there was no anyway. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that is, as somebody who stayed here but just kind of stayed tapped in with the news at the time, my understanding was that it stayed like there was a lot of fear going on still. Half the country really still doesn't trust the other half. That had all kind of broken down in 2020, and then the subsequent, call it, cover up's the wrong word, but the persuasion of, you have to prove it, we're not in this together anymore, we're hiding our phone, that sort of reaction.
Like the marriage analogy.
Yeah, the marriage analogy.
Episode, which is that's a really good analogy.
Yeah. Just to repeat it if you haven't heard it, I view the country as a little bit like a marriage, where there's, and the marriage had been deteriorating over the past, I don't know, probably 20 years, but Trump kind of brought it to the head through his personality. And the defining moment was the 2020 election. And, one side accused the other of cheating, saying basically, hey, we think that there's shenanigans going on here. Here's the statistical evidence, like a lot of weird stuff going on. And rather than kind of come along and say, hey, yes, we're actually one people, we're participating in this marriage together, we're actually looking out for the union as a whole, let's do an investigation, just like we did for Trump and just like we did with Russia. Instead it was, no, you can't prove it, we're going to hide the cell phone, we're playing power games here. And that shift, that change into power games, or the continuation of power games, is what ultimately I think is going to doom the country as a united entity. I consider it, the Great Divorce is kind of the language I would put on it. But yeah, so after the election, it seemed to be going into that mode of, cover up, conspiracy theories. You have to prove it. We're going to hide, burn, destroy as much evidence as we can. We're going to make it as difficult as possible. And again, that's all like power game stuff. I mean, that's what you would do if you cared about who's in charge more than you care about the unity of the country as a whole.
Exactly.
If you care about the unity of the country or a marriage, then you actually want the other person to be heard and you want them to participate fully in the relationship. I didn't see that happen.
No.
So
I feel like it was a lot of fear based in nothing.
Yeah.
Because you had the what's it called? All the Trump people. What were they? Insurrection.
The January 6th.
The insurrection. If you want to call it that. Is that even the right term?
Well,
I don't know the definition of an insurrection.
Yeah. Again, that's all the persuasion words and stuff.
If you're Biden, it was an erection.
Yeah, there you go.
Which we all know what that is. Gosh, I just read. Sorry, that just came to mind, and I was like, I gotta say something. But what I'm saying is, the thing is with that is, this whole thing of like defend the Capitol was rooted in something that, in reality, wasn't violent. It was more or less just scary because the Democrats were like, holy crap, the Republicans are actually doing something for once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it was like, defend the Capitol. It's like, first off, these guys have jobs on like your side of the party mostly. You know what I mean? It's like, we can't be out here, peacefully protesting for weeks on end. Because, we all have,
there's work to do.
We have lives, and we're going to keep making the country go on. And that's being facetious at this point, but that was kind of the point. It was like, hey, this is for a short stint, and then we're going to get back to business. We're not going to keep here harassing you.
And my takeaway from it, like the image that keeps popping in my head is the one guy that was in the woolly hat, and he's like carrying the podium, and he's smiling and waving. And again, like, okay, is that guy overthrowing the country, or is he kind of having a lark? Is he just getting caught up in the meme moment and doing his thing? Again, not saying what he's doing is right, but at the same time, I don't think that person is almost by definition a threatening person. Like he's not the thing that's tearing down this country. You know, he's not the problem.
No.
Even dude in like the bullhorn hat or the bull hat, like it's not serious at that point. It's not serious in the way that it's made out to be serious. Like these are people having fun. They're making a statement. You know,
but that he'll be used as the image of the right. You know, it's like they're all crazy and smelly, and you're just like, well, some of us might be, but you know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you're on the right, it's just funny because it's just.
The other way of looking at it too is that the fact that we're not really taking it serious means that I think governance in general has shifted. Like it's something different now. So I was thinking about this in terms of like legalizing plants, you know, legalizing drugs. And what brought it to mind, there was a tweet that came up in my timeline, and somebody said, you know, drugs have been legalized in Minnesota or something like that. And there's another organization that's actually following all these laws, and they popped in right underneath, no, that's not true. It hasn't happened. And it got me thinking, like, are we post-government? And what I mean is, like, if we just, you know, if somebody proposed the idea and it took on enough, you know, Twitter followers or enough belief in amongst the population, hey, it's legalized here, even though the law has never been written, is that sufficient? You know, if people just decide, hey, it's legalized, we're not going to do it anymore, like, is that sufficient for it to be legalized, or does it actually have to still go through some sort of a process with a governing body?
That's a really good question. I would say yes, it is legalized because it's a government by the people for the people.
Sure.
So if the people say, no, this is legal.
Yeah.
We just decided now this is legal.
Yeah.
That's America.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So
you know what I mean? Yes. No, I think that would spur it on to change. The government would come back in and go, all right, let's relook at this. All right, now we're legalizing it. But the people could push it to an extent to say, you will change this law.
But I don't even think that that's true. Really? And the reason that I don't think it's true is because look at how many stupid laws are still on the books. I mean, there's states that you're not allowed to have, you know, oral relations with your wife or your partner, right? Like those laws still exist.
That's a law?
Yeah, exactly. There's places where that's a true thing. Now, what has happened in practice is...
How do they know whether or not?
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, well, that's the dumbest law I've ever heard.
It's very dumb. There's all kinds of ridiculous dumb laws out there, but the point being that the laws still exist on the books. Nobody's enforcing them. Do the books actually matter? And, you know, again, looking at the dumb laws, it's like, well, of course not. We're never going to enforce that. You know, I think there's a law someplace about, you know, carrying an ice cream cone in your back pocket on a Sunday or something. And, you know, it was a stupid law when it was written, but, you know, there it is. But so maybe that's the path for, you know, legalization is just, you know, in general, the public saying, hey, we're done. We're not waiting for you anymore. Like, this is stupid.
I mean, I would say that's valid because if you have a bunch of people, let's say in the small town we live in.
Sure.
Are you going to arrest all of us?
Yeah.
No, you're not. No, I don't care. I mean, your law enforcement ain't that scary. It ain't that big. And local government, I mean, they just have to put up with it. If you just had, hypothetically, everyone in Lafayette starts growing pot.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking, everyone in their yard's got a pot plant.
Sure.
You going to come through and tear it all out?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you're not. You're not. Because at some point, as soon as you tear it out and you come in and try to cite me, you look over, my neighbor's got one. And then the next guy next to him's got one. And then you just keep doing this. Eventually, it'll become one of those things going, all right, well, we'll just kind of let it go. Because first off, you know, people are speeding down the freeway and we're worried about all these pot plants and the cops aren't doing anything besides pulling pot plants.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say at that point you've won because, I mean, getting that many people organized would be hard, but also maybe not.
Well, I think most laws this way are kind of a psychology machine, and that's one of the things that we've kind of gone through in 2020 is, for example, let's say you live in a big city now and somebody shoplifts from you. the psychology now is that that's actually an okay thing to do.
Oh god.
Okay. Now, I'm not saying that's good or bad, but I'm saying that that's a way that, political action, people just deciding amongst themselves, hey, this is what we're going to do, has turned into a change in behavior for the rest of the city. Again, there's not enough cops to handle it all, so that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
But to me, that also seems the easy and obvious route as far as legalizing different things.
Well, did you see that video of that guy shoplifting from a Walgreens in Chicago?
No. What was he doing? Was that the one where he's on the bicycle?
The bicycle.
Okay, sure.
The security guards are sitting there going, should we call the police? I don't know. What were you hired to do? You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh. And this, and you're like, and then the news came out and they're like, well, hey, Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Walgreens has nothing to do with Big Pharma.
Sure. Well,
it was just, I found that funny because when you were talking about laws and eventually they just let it go. And it's like shoplifting's at an all-time high. Yeah. And technically legal in many states.
Yeah.
Not federally legal.
Yeah.
But legal because law enforcement will do absolutely nothing if you just want to walk in and ransack a Walgreens.
Exactly.
I'm just like, Crazyville.
Yeah. It's very strange. Here's the thing that blows my mind is that many of these issues could be solved by big tech if they decided that they wanted to solve them. Here's an example. So COVID started, and one of the immediate ramifications was toilet paper shortages, because apparently wiping our butts is really, really important.
Food's not important.
No. Wiping our butts.
Yeah. So I need all this toilet paper. I'm not going to buy food though.
It's not the input.
You're not going to need toilet paper if you don't buy food. Like,
which, by the way, as a side note, bidet, get yourself one. Best thing ever.
Really?
Yes.
I've never experienced that.
Someday you'll have to, up in our bathroom.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
All right.
Anyway, side note aside. Okay, let's say, so we've got these big companies like Amazon. Amazon provides 90% of everything for everybody nowadays, or maybe not 90%, but a giant chunk of it. Okay. Imagine Amazon said, okay, we're going to take it upon ourselves to make sure that everybody has toilet paper. All they do is they take the sum total of all our toilet paper costs, out of a year, whatever. How much stuff do we actually purchase to wipe on our butts? Yeah. And then they buy the company, or they have some sort of an exclusive agreement, and then they put like a free buy it now button. Okay, so you can hit that button, once a day or as often as you want. Or maybe they've got some sort of a metric where you can like punch in how many kids you have in your family, or they probably know already based on your buying habits, like how large of a household you are.
Oh yeah. And
all they do is they just tack on a few pennies to every other product that they're selling. Okay, so now toilet paper is delivered to your home whenever you need it. You can set it to an automatic delivery, and it's free. It's just handled, right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's going to be an adjustment time, and there's probably going to be people that are going to abuse it at first. Just like there's people that are like, toilet paper shortage, and they run out and buy thousands of them. Okay, like those idiots exist.
Still trying to figure out where they're going to put it.
Exactly. But eventually that like ripples through the system.
Yeah.
And give it a couple of weeks, and Amazon tweaks its algorithm or something, and now all of a sudden nobody ever has to really worry about toilet paper again.
Yeah.
Okay. And Amazon, if they were feeling nice about it, they could set up agreements with the Krogers of the world or something like that. Hey, we're going to ship it to you, so people can still go in and pick up their toilet paper. But when they're done shopping, they just walk out and leave the building with it. It's scanned as a zero cost item or something like that. So in my mind, especially since toilet paper is again 90% produced by machines, it's you could probably have that sort of warehouse handled by robots within a year if you really wanted to. Yeah. So the whole toilet paper for America is handled by maybe a total of like 50 people. That could be it. Like that could solve that particular problem. Yeah. And then you take another problem. You say, okay, we're going to do that with macaroni and cheese, or we're going to do that with, you know what I mean? Like eventually you can get to the point where automation has taken over and is providing all this free stuff for people. Just have a selection of, hey, here's the 50 items that you can buy on Amazon, and it's free, and it's enough to survive on. Yeah. Like, and we'll just take the cost, and we'll bake it in the cost of electronics or, other non-essentials.
It's kind of like a welfare program.
Yes, but it serves two functions. One, it acknowledges that, again, robots are taking over the world. Okay. But it also says we're going to take that and make it better for humanity in terms of your basic goods. Because right now, nobody can get anything physical for free. But we need to be able to make that next step to, okay, the toilet paper is going to be free, the food's going to be free, you know, that sort of thing.
So, like, I'm not against that idea, but, like, for me, my biggest thing is who's paying for that warehouse and who's paying for the machines to make toilet paper?
Sure.
Because the massive upfront cost, and then now you're getting it for free.
Sure.
So someone's out hundreds of millions of dollars.
Sure. Well, I would say that right now, you know, most of those machines that are doing it already exist. So toilet paper is not made by hand by anybody. It's already run through mass machines.
Like Charmin Ultra, for instance. I'm like, so the guy who owns this shouldn't make a dime due to the fact that we all deserve free toilet paper. Because he started that company.
Sure.
Or his family did, or someone did.
Absolutely. In my opinion, the guy that owns it is going to be an expert at organization of these large scale things. And we need his talents, not in terms of, you know, sucking money out of the system and getting, you know, paid his millions of dollars for starting Charmin Ultra, but we need him doing that to another industry. And again, like, I think that there's sufficient ways for Amazon to make you know, these deals, or some of these other big companies. So it's not like these wealthy people are not going to be taken care of. Like, I think that's absolutely going to be a thing. And I'm not a socialist, like I want to run and like burn down their house or, you know, take their stuff, because I see these people as having brilliant minds and ways of organizing resources. And in all honesty, you know, the Jeff Bezos of the world and, you know, the Charmin Ultra guy of the world, they're not going to be happy sitting on their hands doing nothing. Like, they're not trying to go and move onto an island. They recognize, hey, I've got a brilliant mind. I need to be engaged with culture, with whatever's going on. I want to keep building. So I think they're going to end up rewarded with, you know, the house and the money and stuff anyways.
Yeah, because it kind of leads in, like, I was thinking the other day, like, you know, after watching that whole Walgreens video, this guy ransacking Walgreens, and everyone's like, the establishment, and, you know, screw the millionaires and billionaires. And I'm sitting there going, you do realize that was a franchise. Yeah. And it was some dude who owns 2 Walgreens, might make $100,000 a year on a good year. And he's trying to get by, but now you just shut down one of his Walgreens. And he wanted to be a business owner, and he's dabbling in it. You're not really sticking it to the man. You're sticking it to the poor devil trying to start a franchise. That's like the McDonald's. Like, McDonald's should give out free food to the needy. Who's paying for that? I'm not saying you don't bless people with free food. But every person that walked through that door that says, I'm broke, I need a meal, and you're handing out a meal to every person that says they're broke, then McDonald's is never going to make money. And it's not McDonald's, it's the guy who started the franchise. So you might look at McDonald's, what he's doing is he's paying for the name, and now you're screwing him, and you're going, well, we're sticking to McDonald's. No, you're not. McDonald's could care less. They've got McDonald's in every freaking country on the planet. Darn near. You're not sticking it to McDonald's. But see, that's my thing, is like, people trying to get something out of a company and thinking that, oh, well, like even Jeff Bezos, the guy's worth a ton of money. But you do realize that, I mean, of course you do. Talking to the folks out there. No, but like, all his money's wrapped up in Amazon. It's not like, oh, he's worth $2 trillion.
And he can just like write a check for $2 trillion.
And it's like, you do realize that that's wrapped up in every warehouse, every employee, all the healthcare crap he's got. You know what I mean? Like, all this stuff is wrapped up in his salary. Could he write a big check? Bigger than I'll ever write. But he's not worth, he doesn't have access to that money.
There's also a weird thing about this where, so I view humanity as a body. Okay. So there's this, you know, we have bodies, right? We have hands, we have feet, we have eyes, we have noses, we have ears. So we've got all these different parts of our body, and they require different things, and they serve different functions. For example, I value my eyes a lot more than I value my fingers. Like, if I had to give one up, sorry, you got to go finger. And again, and there's nothing against my hands or my fingers, because I love them dearly. But the point being, like, I only got 2 of these and I got 10 of these. And humanity structures itself a similar way. So, the Jeff Bezos of the world are kind of like the eyes.
Yeah.
Okay? Or, call it brain cells. I value my brain cells more than I value my muscle cells. If I have to give up one or the other, I want to hang on to those brain cells and, hey, take a chunk, right? So even the way that we treat our own bodies, like this pattern of reality actually lays itself out at orders of organization, even within people. But at the same time, what we've had is a problem where we're very atomized and individualized. So when you say, and I hear this because I've thought this way myself, hey, they earned it, they should be able to, keep their money and we don't want to take it from them. That's kind of like saying, the brain cells deserve, the lion's share of the carbohydrates because they're the ones that are thinking about it and organizing the body. But at the same time, you can't just starve your fingers, right? You need the fingers to keep on doing the grasping for you, and you need your feet to keep on walking. So there actually has to be some sort of a sharing going on within the body. Not all that's happening automatically, but because our body wants to stay together and survive. I mean, this is kind of evolution baked in.
So I've heard this argument kind of very similar to what you're posing in a different way. So I have a snowplow company.
Sure.
And it's like I'm driving the truck, plowing snow.
Yep.
And I've got some dude in the passenger seat riding along, and I have him get out, and he's doing all the shoveling. I'm not getting out and shoveling. That's what I'm paying you for.
Yeah.
And he gets out and goes, I worked way harder than you did. I deserve to be paid this much. No, you agreed on this price.
Yeah.
No, but you're sitting in a truck where it's warm, and you're watching me shovel. Yeah, that's what I hired you to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, well, why don't you pay him more? It's like, I pay him good.
Sure.
He shouldn't be complaining. But in the end of it, who had to buy the truck? Who's paying all the insurance?
Yep.
Who's doing all the paperwork?
Yep.
Who carries all the risk and liability of a snowplow company, which, if you've never done it, is $1 million insurance policy. So when I take out a curb, I have to put it back.
Yeah.
And then this guy's complaining that I'm out there breaking my back and sweating. You deserve me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the problem with establishment. The rich guys I'm going, I ain't rich. I put a $3,000 front end on my truck.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't pay for a thing. You got in the truck and you made 100% profit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making profit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at, from being a business owner.
Yes.
I look at it and people are like, man, that's a crazy paycheck. No, it's not. When you put in all of the money I had to put into it, taxes and everything, I'm making some money. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at with these, and it's a whole nother scale when you're talking about Amazon.
Yeah.
Not even close to that. I mean,
absolutely. And I am very sympathetic to the business owners and snowplow guys, and I'm also sympathetic to the guy that's jumping out and having to do the shoveling. So I
was that guy for a very long time. I had to do it all, but now we're at a point where I don't have to, and you know what? My back appreciates it.
Yeah. I'll
get some young guy and I'll torch his back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
sure.
But that's what he agreed on.
Yeah.
And that's just life. That's life.
So I don't have problems with those sorts of agreements. And again, on kind of these micro scales, some of it's going to be moot anyways, because again, maybe snowplowing as a thing is going to be farther down the line of that which gets automated, but it's going to come for that too.
At some point.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, we've seen the movies.
So my thought about all that stuff is that we're actually at a very deep transition point, and ultimately at the end of the day, I do want more robots doing those jobs, because I don't want a human to have to get up and go and plow somebody's driveway so that they can buy food to survive for themselves. Okay, so if they can get that ahead of time, and if again the Amazons of the world can provide the toilet paper and provide the food, that actually just frees up labor, or not labor, it frees up life. Okay, so again, that person, they might be lazy and they might say, I'm going to spend this life sitting on a couch playing video games. That's a distinct possibility. And I know that
some people that make a crazy living doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It blows my mind.
And there's a part of me that would do that too, where I'd say, okay, I'm actually going to waste a year or 5 years doing that, right?
Yeah.
If I was 20 again, I'd probably still play video games a lot.
Yeah.
But at some point, I still want that food and stuff provided so that I can say, you know what, this is kind of meaningless. I'm going to turn my life into something creative, which is actually what this is.
Yeah.
Like this is us trying to say, hey, let's give back to the world somehow through thought, through conversation, through something a little bit more meaningful than sitting on my butt playing a video game.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm not sure exactly how successful this thing is going to be. I'm not sure if it's the best use of my creativity. But that's what being a human, like that's where our fullest potential comes alive, is when we can be creative.
Yeah.
And the less snow plowing we got to do, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, I want snow to be the thing that's fun that I go and like make snow angels in.
Yeah, I see snow and all I see is I just like dollar signs.
Yeah,
like,
there you
but
go.
I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like I take that back. I do enjoy snow plowing. Like in a weird weird way. I do enjoy it. Not when I'm out shoveling all the time. But it is funny because like when I see snow, it's not I'm gonna go sledding with my kids. It's no, I don't have time to do that because I'm the guy out there clearing the road so you can go sledding.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's what I find funny now is like something that I absolutely loved as a kid.
Yep.
Now is not fun.
Yeah.
It's work.
Yeah.
So that's a
And we've done that with so many things now. Like there's so much. Okay, middle management. There's a class of people that push Excel files around and make PowerPoints and like answer emails and stuff. Yeah, I mean, again, on some level, record keeping is important. On another level, how many lives are wasted in office buildings doing that? Right? Okay.
And they wonder why we have health problems.
Exactly.
Mental health's a real thing in middle management.
Exactly. Seriously, I mean, it's a big deal. And at one level, like that is not what being a human is about, right?
No.
So, call me a socialist or whatever, but like I look forward to the robot revolution when we can have machines doing the vast majority of our stuff, and some highly dedicated, intelligent people that are like, you know what, I get, my jollies fixing these things and helping people with this process and automating more stuff. Like, hey, more power to you.
And I'm all for that. I mean, working at UPS, working in a warehouse, and being the guy, I feel like that old Looney Tunes commercial when the like sucker, the guy turns into a sucker. Yeah. That's how I feel every time I walk into that building. Because I'm like, here I go again. I'm going to sling boxes that a robot could do.
Yeah.
I'm going to manually unload a 50-foot semi-trailer by hand, boxes.
Yeah.
And why am I, and it's like,
why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this? Like there is, but I mean, I understand the company can't afford to pay. They've got places that are all automated. Yeah. Like I got a cousin who works at Atlanta's, and he runs the place or something. Yeah. And it's all done by robots. The most amazing thing you'll ever see. Yeah. And then I come into ours and I'm like, this was made in the 60s. Literally hasn't changed since the 60s, and my back will be the same as the guy who did this in the 60s. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. And I just look at it and I'm like, why am I doing this? This is horrible. And then management's walking around just like, you guys must really hate yourselves. You know what I mean? I'm just like, no, I'm just trying to pay for food. Yeah. So,
well, the balance in society then is how do we take these people's jobs, but do so in a way that doesn't leave them completely bereft and homeless? Because up until, maybe a decade or 2 decades ago, the idea was like, hey, you got to work for that job. This is your income, blah, blah, blah. And if you get fired or we let you go, or sorry, you're on your own, right? Like, go figure it out. And to me, like society needs to be coming together more and saying, you know what, not only are we not going to just like let you die, we're not going to like try to push you into homeless. Let's make as many of these options like covered by robots so that the rest of us can even be even more giving with our time. A big one is going to be the trucking industry. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's like literally millions of truckers that they're driving all of our stuff around the country. They're getting it from point A to point B, and all that stuff is necessary.
I mean, this country would not work. It would not even function without truckers.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, it's 100% needed, and it's also going to be replaced by robots within the next 5 years.
You really think so?
100%.
The next 5 years?
Probably, yeah. And I say that because already in certain cities they're having like driverless cars. Like, not even, you don't.
That's terrifying.
Okay. not if they're better at driving than we are. Because we suck at driving. Like.
Yeah.
Okay. But now think about it in terms of the profit incentive, because the profit incentive drives things. So you've got all these truckers that need to be paid. You know, if I can replace you with a smart battery, you know, or something like that, like, yeah, I have to spend, you know, the $100,000 once.
Yeah.
But if I can get more than 2 years of operation and it lowers my my insurance premiums, and you go down the list, like, this thing doesn't need to sleep and there's no extra risk as far as that's involved. Like, I can run it 20 hours a day instead of 8 hours a day legally because it doesn't get less accurate.
Yeah.
You know, why not? Like, if I was in the trucking business, I would be trying to automate trucks as fast as I possibly could. But the trick is making that transition so that truckers don't bear the brunt of being, you know, personally affected by that. Like, hey, we still need to get truckers money even once they've been obsoleted. We still need to find ways for them to do that for certain periods of time, maybe indefinitely, but we want more truckers turned artists. We want more truckers turned band members, or truckers turned, you know, programmers is a stupid one, but like, we want to
yeah, I know, right? Like, everyone can do that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's not an easy job.
That's not the point. The point is, I would prefer that their lives be spent doing something a little bit more engaging and meaningful than trucking and all the health problems that come with that. You know, truckers turned yoga practitioners. I don't really care. but the
bunch of hairy, grumpy yoga instructors.
Why not? I don't even care. Yeah. But the point being, like, how do we enable that to happen?
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. Like, let me make it even
more
broad.
I guess you see that throughout time, though. You start to see that, like, certain jobs become obsolete.
Yes.
And then it just morphs into something else.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, you see it morph into something that becomes another job.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not as physical.
Yeah. Let me put it in the most positive way possible. I want less truckers and I want more humans following their passions.
What if trucking's your passion?
If trucking's your passion, fine. There's going to be a spot for that. Yeah. But I imagine that percentage is pretty low.
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, if that's your thing, if you want to do, okay.
No.
You know.
I mean, like, well, it's like me. I like driving and I like doing physical work.
Sure.
But at some point, slinging packages after a certain point. It's
exactly.
Just kind of like, this was cool for like 2 seconds, literally, and then you know, that's a good point.
And that's what I think this is about. Like, again, I'll speak from my own experience. I lost my job back in February, and this experiment here, this episode 2 of the Brown Couch, is a part of me trying to find that passion. And I've had to rely a lot on, you know, grace and other sources of money, and, you know, we call it the free store and other things like that, in order to keep this family afloat.
Yeah. And
the future is very uncertain for me right now.
Yeah.
But I'm also really looking forward to, you know, the government deciding, hey, we're going to pay people for every kid that they have every month indefinitely. You know, again, just call it the universal basic income or whatever, but because you matter as a human and we want you to have that space and room without worrying about dying or losing your house or, you know, whatever the case may be, we want to create that space so that you can be a better human and follow a passion and pursue that. And, you know, in all honesty, like, that's one of the positives that's come out of the 2020 as far as I can see, is like the world mindset is shifting, like, oh, you know, we don't just want grunt workers.
Yeah.
We want...
I think that the one thing, I agree 100% with what you said. I mean, if the government wants to throw me some free cash,
there you go.
I am all for that. And I'm not against a welfare So I think welfare is great,
Mm-hmm.
but not in the traditional sense. I think
Yeah.
if someone's in need, then yes, we need to have systems in place where you're down on your luck. You lose your job. You've got all these different things that happen to your life. Tragedy hits, and you're just in a mental state of I can't function because something happened. You lost your wife. You lost a child. Something just you lost whatever. And you're like, I'm done working for months because I need to focus. Yeah, you probably need that time.
Yeah.
Like, and I understand that some businesses and some companies give you time off for grief and whatever. But to be able to have, a system in place to pay for those things, I think is great. But what I don't agree with is the modern day American welfare of, you know what? If I just quit literally, and this is how stupid it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's not this easy, but I could literally quit my job today, go in, sign up, and just get paid to do nothing. And that's the problem. Now, like I said, I've never done that, so I might be just talking out of ignorance here, but I see plenty of people that do that, and I go, if you need it, take advantage of it.
Sure.
But if you don't need it, why are you sitting at home being a complete slug, not being productive for society? Like you were saying, if the government can give you the opportunity, here's some cash, go follow a passion, be a good, force for society and for innovation and be creative and go do something. But then you find people just being like, well, I'm going to sit around and play Call of Duty all day and, drink my Mountain Dew and screw you. And it's like, I don't agree with that because that's not being productive for society and you're taking advantage of the system. Does that make sense? Because there's a lot of people out there that are just like, I got my beer and my cigarettes and I'm just going to sit on the couch and watch, Oprah.
Yep.
Okay, why are you're worthless? You know what I mean? Like, in a sense for humanity and for society, it's like, what good does that do? You were talking about pollution.
Sure.
You're just polluting the world.
Yeah.
Being lazy is what I'm saying. And maybe that's inconsiderate, but it begs a lot of questions on why do we do what we do?
Yes. One of these days, probably not today, but one of these days, we really have to get to the metaphysical discussion. Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's sign that one up for episode 3. Okay. Deep into metaphysics, because my metaphysics are probably a lot different than yours, and my metaphysics, I think, allow for a little bit more understanding with those sorts of people. Okay.
And I'm okay with wanting to understand. I'm just saying, if we're just printing money and handing them out, why does this person get to sit around and do nothing, but I got to work?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I want to know. We just talked about trying to get away from that.
So if I was to kind of envision a system in general for money, I actually view money in terms of almost like the water cycle. Okay. So the water cycle, you've got your land and your crops, and the rain falls on the land and the crops grow. But that water keeps moving. It doesn't just stay in the roots of the plants. It actually keeps moving, and it flows into the rivers, and then it flows from the rivers into the streams, and streams into rivers, and then rivers into ocean, where it evaporates and comes over and falls back on the plants again. And if I was designing a monetary system, I would try to follow that as much as possible with human beings as the crops.
Okay.
And sometimes those crops need to sit on the couch and play Call of Duty all day. Okay. But the point being, that circulation, in my opinion, should be more indiscriminate. It shouldn't be like, hey, you're a valued member and we've determined it by these criteria, here's your money. Or, hey, you're suffering and we've determined it by these criteria, here's your money. In my opinion...
And don't get me wrong, I think when I talk, so sometimes thoughts come out and it's going to come out verbally, whether or not it's right or wrong.
Sure.
I'm not saying those people are worthless.
No, of course
Every
not.
life has value.
Yes,
and I don't believe one life has more value than another.
Yeah.
I believe everyone is created equal. I'm just saying that sometimes you're like, what the heck?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I totally get that. I totally get that. So, yeah, to me, I'm call me like a universal basic income sort of person
Okay.
or whatever. Like, if you're alive, maybe there's going to be some range of like if you're a dependent, then your parents get it instead of you, or but if you have to, if your parents suck and you got to leave the house at 15, then you get it instead of them.
Yeah.
I don't know all the particulars of that. I'm not really worried about the particulars of that. To me, it's all about the mindset, though. I think that money naturally gravitates from, say, our pockets into Amazon pockets.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of how things work. I
Yeah.
need the things to live. You guys are the ones providing the things to live. Money's going to go that way.
Yeah.
But I think that there's got to be a way. And again, I don't even like the idea of tax, because to me that's silly. Imagine like a Bitcoin, though,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not saying the Bitcoin, but a Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And this Bitcoin has like a unique feature where every month everybody is taxed 5% or something like that, and then it's redistributed to every person. Say businesses don't get it, or whatever the case may be. The point being that the money is always going to go back into the ocean, and it needs a mechanism to evaporate it so that it rains down on everybody again, so that the cycle can continue. And I think money is, it's almost like it's an abstraction of who should get what amount of rain. And we used to tie it to, loosely to productivity or value, like how much are you contributing. But even there, like, the guy that's jumping out of the van and shoveling the snow, is he contributing the same sort of, it's like, how do you figure out whose value?
Well,
like,
it kind of goes back to the old like union joke, like union workers, and they got one dude leaning on a shovel and the other guy breaking his back. They're both getting paid the same.
Yep.
But I
The
don't.
guy leaning's probably got seniority and getting paid more.
And that's probably the truth.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he's also tasked to do the same job.
Yes.
So you got a bunch of dudes standing around. One guy who's a go-getter, like, I want to work. I want to do these things. And these guys are like, if I can get away with not having to sling dirt today, I'm not going to do it. And they'll find every excuse not to do something. But it doesn't benefit. If you want to take away from it, doesn't benefit the company.
Yes.
Okay, so one dude's just getting rich.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who cares if it doesn't benefit him?
Mm-hmm.
You might when the road never gets completed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if all the workers, if you sat there and you said, well, they all deserve a couple days off and they all deserve a bunch of leaning on the shovel. Mm-hmm. Well, at some point, I want this road completed because my taxpayer money is paying you to do it. And then when you put 3 or 4 days of just leaning on shovels and hanging out, I'm sitting there going, okay, so the road that cost $5 million now costs $8 million because you guys decide to lean on some shovels.
Yeah.
Get out there and freaking work.
Yeah.
So that's my point of view on it. And like I said, I like your idea for sure. But when I see it in a real world, as of now, because the technology I don't think things are going to change. Yeah. Like when I look back at like my grandparents when they worked, things have gotten a lot easier on us. You know what I mean?
In 10 years, it's going to be unrecognizable.
It's going to be crazy. Yeah. So I'm not saying I'm not against it, but when I see when you're saying that, I'm just thinking that was the example that came up, and I'm sitting here going, man, I don't see how that's going to work. Cause, you know what I mean? But I do like the idea of having money that somehow can just recirculates. I mean, it kind of does that, but not in an efficient way.
Not in an efficient way right now. Yeah, no. I try to have a lot of compassion for people that are leaning on shovels. And going back to the body.
I have compassion for my lazy side too.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Continue. I'm sorry.
Well, if I go back to like the analogy of the body, imagine a bunch of toes yelling at the little toe.
Yeah.
Because hey, you're not really pulling your weight. You're not doing very much. Come to find out, maybe that little toe got stubbed earlier in the day. Like there's always a reason, whether it's a mental reason or a physical thing going on in their life, or there's always some reason that somebody feels like right now I need to lean on this shovel.
Yeah.
And maybe it is the battling some sort of an inner demon.
Yeah.
But that's a tough thing to go through too. So
I mean I've had days where I've been that lazy.
You've been the lead. Yep, exactly. and there's some people that make it a habit. And for
and that's a work ethic thing, probably.
Yeah,
and it could be they never were taught it as a kid.
Yep.
They were like, my dad leaned on his shovel, I'm going to lean on mine. You know what I mean? It was like I'm just doing it because this is tradition.
Yep.
And it's like okay, bud. Yep. I don't know.
Yeah, there's. I mean, humans are messy. We're very complicated, and I suck at it, but I'm trying. One of my goals in life is to be a lot less judgmental and more accepting of even the lazy people, the Call of Duties, the
Call of Duty, those poor devils. They're just always going to get jabbed at.
Exactly. But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, it's something that's too complex to. I mean, I can sit here and cast stones, and be judgmental, but at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, the world's very complex. People are complex, and I can say whatever I want. I can mean whatever I want, but that might not be reality. And that's what you have to realize is I don't have all the answers. I'm not even 100% right. I'm just, half the time I'm playing devil's advocate, just to be like, well, I know this is what people think because I've thought this. Yeah. Not that I feel that way towards somebody, but I've had these thoughts. Yeah. And there's people that they actually believe that. Yeah. It's like, that guy's a lazy piece of crap. And it's like, well, like you said, maybe he had something going on in his life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And maybe there's people out there that are taking advantage of the welfare system because they've had something happen in their life, or that was what they were taught. We don't take into consideration generational. A lot of people don't. They're just like, man, that family, they're just leeching off of society. Yeah. It's like, well, maybe the person was never taught. Yeah. Or maybe even was ever encouraged to pursue a passion. Like, maybe they really enjoy drawing. Well, but no, their parents never encouraged that. So they've got a very unique talent, but they're never going to be able to chase that.
And I try to put myself in their shoe a little bit. Like, do most people actually want to be productive members of society where they're pursuing a passion? Yeah. Or do they want to have such low self-worth and such low self-esteem that they think, hey, just sitting around all day on my ass is like literally the best thing I can do. Because the moment I try to go do something, somebody gets mad at me, somebody gets angry. Yeah. There's just chaos out there. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm going to sit here and, the same motivations that cause you to sit on your ass all day, like, they're miserable. And it is truly a miserable life of suffering in many, many cases. Yeah. And I want to help people stop doing that, and but anyways. Yeah. I think this has been a pretty good episode.
I think so. I think it was unique. It was not something I thought we were going to go, but it actually spurred on some really good thoughts. Yeah. And it gave us an idea for tomorrow's episode.
There you go. I am looking forward to talking about metaphysics. And thank you to our viewers and listeners for joining us on the Brown Couch. Yeah. There's always a spot for everyone. Yeah. So.
If you can remember, not trying to be cliche, but like and subscribe.
Yeah, hit the bell, whatever you're supposed to do. I don't even know which direction to point anymore.
Just think of some cliche video that you saw and whatever they said to do, just do it for ours.
There you go. So, we'd appreciate that.
And comment. We would like to have some comments.
Absolutely.
So we could have stuff to talk about.
If you want us to talk about anything, hey, we're here. We'll give you opinions.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.